Can we just bow our heads for a short prayer? Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for this opportunity. We thank you, Lord, that we have heard your word, which has charged us to engage in politics, engage in the business of influencing our world for the better. So, Lord, as we spend this time, we ask that you lead us by your Spirit. We ask, Lord, that your greatest good shall be our desire. That, Heavenly Father, we shall not seek to please men, but we shall seek, Lord, to please you and to do that which honors you. So, Lord, take control this time. In Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. So again, I'd like to thank you all for staying. As Pastor Carlton said, it's a very important time in our national history where in less than a week's time we have to go to decide who will govern and lead our country for the next 4 years. There's been much said in the social media, in the press, general media, in bars, at homes, etc. And there's a lot to talk about. A lot of what people talk about might not be based on the most current information. So we're privileged today to actually have two people from the opposing poles of the political spectrum who are knowledgeable in their own right about what their parties stand for, who are passionate about what they believe their parties can contribute to our nation. I'll introduce them in a minute, but I'd just like to just position this hour we're going to spend. The way it's going to work is the speakers will come and they will each talk, excuse me, they'll each have 7 minutes to talk about their party, after which we'll ask them questions specifically about the presentations they've made. Following that, we'll then have some questions which I would lead and which they can then respond to and counter each other in. And then we'll open it up to the floor so you can ask general questions. So as you listen, in accordance with what Pastor Hibbs said, this is a chance for us to go away with more than we came with. This is a chance for us to go away with real knowledge that we can take out to our spheres of influence and pass on to our homes, our families, our businesses, the real information, real perspectives about what each party is about, so that we can influence people in making the right decisions. So as you listen, I ask that you please take notes if you have a pen. If you have questions, there will be limited opportunity later on to put those questions, firstly directly to the speakers in relation to what they spoke about, and then later on in the more general sense regarding issues that interest you. So without further ado, I'd like to please invite up to the podium our two speakers today. Firstly, I'd like to invite Honorable Babatunde Ogala from the APC. Can we just put our hands together for him? He's a lawyer. He's a former member of the Lagos State House of Assemblies, and he's also currently in the APC Presidential Campaign Committee. Can we put our hands together? Can we also put our hands together for Mr. Fidelis Duka, who is representing the PDP. He's a Mr. Duka is a media practitioner of several years, over 25 or 30 years. He is the founder and director of the Abuja Film Festival. Is very well versed in media, and more importantly, for today's purposes, he is very, very passionate about the PDP. He's been involved in politics. He's an ardent proponent of the transformation agenda of the PDP, and is here to represent his party in that, guys. So again, can we just put our hands together for him? Okay, so without further ado, sorry, one last thing, yes. Now, there are lots of debates, and to our minds, the debate should have a purpose. We're not just here to spend an hour, we're here to be convicted. We're here to raise the ante and to engage in the sort of discourse that transforms minds. There's a quote from Bishop Desmond Tutu that says, "Don't raise your voice, improve your arguments." Okay, so we're not here to raise our voices. We're not here to engage in mudslinging. So if I could please ask, the tone of the questions and the spirit with which this hour is going to be conducted is very constructive. We're here to listen to each other, and we're here to learn. And we're here, hopefully, to be convicted. So in that, guys, I would posit that there are three categories of people here. There are some that already decided who they'll vote for. There's some that maybe on the fence, they're undecided, and there are those who are jaded and totally disinterested. But thank you for not having walked out, because you're still here, so maybe you're a little bit interested. Okay, so can we just have just a very quick show of hands? We're not asking for which party you will vote for. We're just asking, have you decided who you vote for? Can you just put up your hands if you've decided who you vote for? Just one hand, please, not two. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, well, essentially, maybe there are about, let's call it 30 people, okay, of the entire room that have actually decided who they would vote for. Okay, can we have a show of hands for those who are undecided? You will vote, because you will vote, but you're not decided. You just don't know who you vote for. Okay, that's like about 6 people. Okay. Can I take it that everyone else is just jaded and disinterested? If you consider, okay, so everyone else is basically jaded and disinterested. Okay, fine. But I will say this before I let the speakers talk to us. It is not an option to sit on not even to sit on the fence, to be jaded and disinterested. Because as Pastor said, if you do nothing, if you don't vote, firstly, there are people around the world who have died and blood has been shed for the right to vote, the right to have a voice, to participate in civic affairs. So I think it's a height of irresponsibility for anybody, including a Christian, not to vote. So what we want to take away from today is that you have to be in a position to make a decision. So listen intently, listen critically, because being disinterested and just ambling out of here in the same state you came in is not an option. So without further ado, I'd like to call upon our first speaker, Mr. Fidelis Duka. Can we put a hand together for him, please?
I'll start by saying that I must thank the iLife Church for this opportunity. For most of us who are involved in politics now, it has gotten to a point where we must all be involved. Whether be a politician, whether you sit on the fence, you must be involved in what happens to your country at this point in time. So I'll say a big thank you to the team and, of course, to the church. For me, I walked in here and I sat there and I was just sitting down when somebody sent me a note. And it was very simple. He said, "Don't worry, God is on your side." And I said something. I said, "Look, amen. It goes beyond my side. It goes beyond the side of every Nigerian. God's on our side." And I think essentially we must believe that there's God on our side. And for my candidates who I'm here to represent today, I think God's on his side. For me, I think the basic challenge we face with the political environment in the last 6 months, for the first time in 54 years, this is the most tense election. And I begin to wonder why. What is the essence? We're all Nigerians. After 20th of May, we'll all sit down together and drink. my very good friend, Barrister Ogala. We've been friends. We talk. Even 2 days ago, we had this long, over 74 comments argument on Facebook. He made his point, I made my points. Areas I aired against him, I took and I explained to him why I said those things. For me, I think essentially we must begin to look at this country as our own country. It goes beyond the violence, and that's why my candidate has said that no blood is worth his fixed election. He does not believe anybody should shed his blood for him to win the election. As the pastor said, we are not a desperate party. We are not desperate to rule this country. That's why he said 2 nights ago on BBC that even if he loses the election, he will take a walk, and whoever comes in, comes in. So for me, I think misinformation has been the threshold of this campaign. Misinformation essentially from the opposition parties. People say this man has not performed. And I ask a question. What are the indices? I can highlight over 200 different, I have only 7 minutes here, but I'll just mention a few of them. Over 200 areas of intervention this government has been involved in the last 5 years. Prior to its coming into power, we had only 60 people prosecuted for corruption in Nigeria. Only 60 prosecuted by AFC. But as I speak to you, the Guardian of 2 weeks ago, I think 17th of last month, February, published over 120 prosecutions in Nigeria for corruption. It was there. It's in the public domain. But people say nobody else. Even the ones that happened, the 60 that happened in the previous government, those were high-flying politicians who are still working the streets of Nigeria. Some are even contesting the election. And I ask again, is it the role of the president to go out there and prosecute people? The best he can do is to give the judiciary a free will. We have our judiciary today who have the free will to operate. The police will arrest you, or the EFCC, or the ICPC. It is the function of the judiciary to prosecute anybody. One of the arguments, and some of my colleagues have said that the 27 billion naira pension fund. Of course, let's be very objective. When did that happen? That fraud happened in 2010. The guys were prosecuted in 2012 by this government, and a court in Nigeria with a judge gave the guy a fine of 750, and you blame the president. These are questions we should be very objective. Now let's look at the issue of the aviation. Most of us travel abroad. Look at the airports. We go to that airport every day. Years back, we had only 2 conveyor belts. Today, the airport has almost 8 conveyor belts. We had only 2 checking counters. Today, we have close to 24 checking counters. Today, we're having our Terminal 2 being built at the airport there, a new terminal. For over 54 years, we had only 1 terminal, but today we have 2 terminals being built from this same government. People have complained that we're using old locomotive trains. But today in Abuja, in the next 1 month, the monorail from Abuja to Kaduna will start working. But we've been on this same project in Lagos here by a loan guaranteed by the federal government, for Lagos State government, for the one between CMS and Badagry. We're still waiting for it to work. But in the next 2 months, the one in Kaduna, between Kaduna and Abuja and Kaduna, will start working. The facts are there. Our trains were not working. I schooled in Kano. I was born in Lagos. My dad from Cross River. I schooled in Kano. Those days, most of my colleagues know, we travel by train, or from Lagos to Kano. But it's not working. But today, the trains are working. People are complaining. You must start somewhere. A man will be given a chance. Yes, the man came with so many baggages around him. He had a godfather who he doesn't want a godfather again. That is the anger of so many people. We must begin to pull away from this godfatherism that has been the future. People like us have said the future is ours. But today, we wake up one morning, you want a man who is almost 50, still waiting for his future. When will it be our own time? Like the pastor said, it has gotten to a point where the younger generations must take over the rulership of this country. I see no reason why we should begin and continue to depend on the very old ones who has kept us in this present state. I do not want to go personal on this issue, but I think we should look at some of the facts, and I will just quickly mention a couple of things this government has done. And it is for everybody to make up their mind. Okay. He said I have 2 minutes, but I will not accept that. We are always, when we are in Lagos, we are always intimidated. I was asking that this debate should hold in Abuja. You can see when I came in here, I was scared of coming out of my car. I saw my very good friend until I saw Busola Oluwe and Mr. Ogala. I became a bit relaxed and I came in. When I saw my friend in their green, red, and this, I was scared. That's a joke. We are all one. Mr. Conte, I have just 2 minutes, and I have 200 things we've done here. Please, Mr. Koli, thank you. We are playing away. That's why we were the first to speak. Obviously. Let's look at agriculture. Today, for the first time, we are now importing our own locally made rice. It never happened. The granite pyramids are coming up in the north. We have it there today. Today, I know nobody will dispute the fact that the agric minister has done well. There are other, I mentioned initially. I also mentioned agric. I mentioned the issue of corruption that we have in administration. Let's even go to one fundamental issue of the issue of security. I know somebody will ask here, what has happened to our Chibok girls? We are all as concerned as you. Even the PDP, even the president. I have 2 teenage children in the university. 2 young children who are in the university, 2 teenage girls, 16 and 17 in the university. I'm as concerned about you, about those kids who were kidnapped. Yes, there were so many misinformation and mistakes from our government at the beginning. But now the government has carefully fought terrorists to a standstill. Now they are asking for a free landing. One of our biggest challenges that was that unlike what happened with the Ebola virus, where the entire country came together and fought for that issue. In the issue of the terrorism in Nigeria, the opposition, unfortunately, were always looking for an excuse to blame the government. Anywhere in the world, the country comes together to fight terrorists. That is the yardstick. Everybody must come under one roof and fight this menace. And today, we thank God that we've been able to reclaim almost all the country taken by terrorism in the country. Today, we have Yobe back, we have Adamawa back, we have the entire Borno state back. One of our biggest challenges then was that, of course, we knew what the National Assembly did, where the opposition was told not to approve the funds for getting arms. But thank God the president was able to get the funds out and we got the arms into the country. And today, our army, our armed forces are fighting as if they love this country. At the point in time, they were even condemning the armed forces. These are young men who have put their lives at stake. I think we should go beyond politics when it comes to things that affect our national unity. Politics is yes, it only comes once in 4 years. After 28th and of course 11th, we'll all go back to our businesses. Those who are politicians like Mr. Ogala and myself will go to politics. Those of you who are into other areas will go to your business and come back in 4 years' time. I think, essentially, we must, at this point in time, begin to see this country as one. Finally, so that they will not say this man is playing more than a away match. I will want to talk about construction. We have constructed over 70 roads. There is no part, nobody in this hall can mention his town that there is no federal government road. A good example was what happened yesterday. Prior to this time, the opposition party in Kano State was claiming that the major flyover that was constructed in Kano State was done by the opposition. But yesterday, the president was in Kano to commission the flyover and also named the flyover after the former Emma that died, the late Emma of Kano, Adobayelu. That was a sign. That was our job. We did that. So you see, for me, essentially, we must also be very, very dispassionate in our approach to issues. We must look at issues that this is one Nigeria, and we must continue to tell the truth. I will round up quickly by saying that change is not reform. Change does not mean you move from good to bad. You can also change from bad to good or good to bad. So for me, we should begin to look at how we can support continuity, support what we've done so far, believe that this country is our country. We should go beyond the rhetorics of trying to play politics with everything that affects Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Duka. Can I now call upon Honorable Ogala to present the APC position? Thank
you. Good afternoon, my brothers and sisters, and I thank the High Life Church for this opportunity. Just as I bring you good tidings from your friend, your brother, your uncle, General Muhammadu Buhari, and Pastor Yemi Osinbajo. And like Mr. Duka himself has admitted, they are playing a away match here. So he admits that this is a home for General Buhari and the All Progressive Congress. So Mr. Duka, I thank you very much for that admission that you've come to meet us at home. The current government has gone on and on about what they have done and not mentioned what they have not done. For us, we believe governance is about giving policy directions. Policies inform governance. You do not run government by fire brigade approaches and emergencies. You must have a plan of action for governance. And that is why we have come forward to say we have a plan for Nigeria. We have heard so much about transformation. What do you transform? You transform from what is to what it ought to be. So I thank them for adopting that theme, transformation from the status quo to good governance. Transformation and change process go together. You do not transform by being static. So what does General Buhari, the All Progressive Congress, bring to you? We bring to you government that will be informed by integrity. General Buhari brings to the table is unblemished integrity. It is not enough to mouth corruption. It is not enough to shift blames. It is not enough to attribute your failures to others. It is for you to show a commitment. The body language of a leader speaks volumes about what he intends to do. And a man who comes with his integrity, which is the collateral he brings to you, is General Muhammadu Buhari, who has shown in his days in leadership, he has been a state governor, he has been the petroleum minister, he has been the head of state, and he has come out unblemished. Until date, that is what he brings on board. So that is a man who has a commitment to fight corruption. Take corruption out of the problems of our country, I believe it is solved. I was privileged to have met with the great Singaporean leader, Lee Kuan Yew, and he said to fix a country, you need to address 3 issues. Number 1, corruption. Number 2, corruption. And number 3, corruption. General Buhari is committed to fixing these 3 problems. We go to energy. I am almost certain that here we are running this program on generators. Is that what we need? Should you bother your head about diesel? Our president goes around commissioning already commissioned projects, power projects. We are saying the All Progressive Congress government, led by General Muhammadu Buhari, is coming on board to tackle headlong the problem of energy. And Lagos State, because again, it's not enough to say, I can do this. We can also use, what are your reference points? Lagos today is well lit, courtesy the power projects established and built by the Lagos State government. That can be replicated across the 36 states. Nightlife is gradually returning. You now have night economy in Lagos State. That the APC government, led by General Muhammadu Buhari, is ready to replicate. With time, I can also give you into brass tacks of how we hope to accomplish this. Like I said, governance is about planning. And with energy fixed, the average welder will get employed, so you create employment. The barber will get employed. The hairdressers will get employed. Those who do fabrication, the small-scale industries, the major industries will be able to produce to the optimal capacity. And what does that transform to? It inflates the economy, it reduces unemployment, and security automatically follows. When everywhere is well lit, I'm sure many of us now can drive safely on Ikorodu Road, on Western Avenue, on Oladi Bank Anthony Way, very late at night, courtesy of what has been done by the Lagos State government. Should we not replicate that nationwide? Should the government not put a policy in place? In the advanced democracies we talk about, what do? The federal government puts a policy which trickles down the line. Obamacare in the US, it's not necessary for the state of Maryland, but it is a policy that has been well articulated by the federal government and a trickle-down effect. So we are committed to facing the energy problem, corruption problem, and then we'll come to the economic management. Are we convinced that our economy is being well managed today? In a nation where, as of this morning, the 22nd of March, we are yet to have a budget for the year 2015. As we speak, that is not likely going to happen until middle of the year. Yes, some might say it is the National Assembly. No, sir. A government that is purposefully run would have projected for the following year 6 months into the previous year. And this government has failed. Only in January did we have a budget for 2015, a budget that will start running from the 1st of January. Is brought in the middle of the month. This will not be the lot when you vote and support General Muhammadu Buhari. There's a man who has commitment, who has Spartan discipline, which he will bring into governance. My brother who has talked about rails and what have you. These are all infrastructural issues that should be given a holistic approach. It is not cherry picking. You must have a holistic transport policy that must be intermodal, rail, water, air. That is a transport policy that is going to develop codes. That is a policy. Fire brigade does not give you policy. You can look at the example of Lagos, where they've talked about the light rail project that is oncoming. That is intermodal. Rail meets land and water at CMS. That is a policy, that is governance. And that is the kind of thing we are recommending to you. That is the kind of thing that General Buhari is bringing on board for you. Somebody tells me about borrowing money from the World Bank. Yes, yes, and yes. Long-term funds, 10 years moratorium, 3% interest rates, payable after over 50 years. Where else should you go to for loans? In Zenith Bank? In Guarantee Trust Bank? That is the kind of fund that every developed and civilized country uses for development and infrastructure. But again, to the foreign donor agencies, just give you funds for the sake of it? No. You must come with some collateral. And what are these collaterals? Your ability to manage. 3 minutes. Okay. He says I have 3 minutes. I hope he'll be gracious to also grant me an extra 3, like he granted Mr. Duka. So what is the collateral a government brings? Fiscal discipline, willingness to curb corruption, willingness to address wastes. General Muhammadu Buhari brings all of this on the table. He's placing all of this before you, his brothers in Christ. He is placing all this before you to make an informed decision. At this point in our national life, I'm a Christian. I'm a senior delegate of the Anglican Communion. I'm a member of the governing council of Abijovani Memorial Church. But should that be my consideration at this time? Should where you come from, whether I'm Yoruba, South, South, Southeast, South, South, or North, North, should it be a consideration for good governance? At the level when our country is being misgoverned. It knows no religion, it knows no tribe, it knows no creed. When they indulge in corrupt acts, nobody remembers Fidelis is my brother, or Pastor Williams is a Christian. It's immaterial. Alhaji and Reverend at that point, there's a common cause. And the common religion at that level is corruption and bad governance. So that shouldn't be our portion. It never should be. Our government has also committed itself. I've mentioned resource management. I've talked about how we'll tackle unemployment. Then the quality of education. The youths, they say, are the future. Unfortunately, as it is today, they have mortgaged my future. That of my children is also being mismanaged by this government. I pray we don't allow them to mismanage the future of our grandchildren. And that is why the change is desirable. That is why our educational system must be rejiggled. It must be thoroughly scrutinized and looked into. We must come up with clear policy direction. It's not just about waking up, establishing 13 new universities without enabling laws. That is impunity. Setting up universities without the supporting infrastructure, without the necessary manpower. And that is where I'm sure many of us are alarmed at the quality of English language that you hear spoken by children these days. And beyond all of that, what is the primary education policy of this government, and how is it being followed? Feed a child in a day. A healthy child can learn. The APC government has said, and unequivocally too, that every child of primary school age in Nigeria will be entitled to 1 meal a day. And that is doable. It's being done in Osun State. We can replicate it nationwide. So, my brothers in Christ, like I had said, your brother, your friend, your uncle, General Muhammadu Buhari, brings you good tidings and is saying to you that he's putting his honor and integrity as his collateral to give you good governance. You deserve no less.
Thank you to the speakers. Can I just invite Mr. Duka to please come back to the podium, as we'll now take questions specifically relating to the points raised by each of the speakers. So if you have a question, please, can you just put up your hand? The mic will be given to you. And try and make the question as succinct as possible. And just say your name and just ask the question, please. Thank you.
My name is Pascal Oduwa. Okay, my question is, you know, your principal became the president of this country with the full support of a lot of Nigerians. Go back to the days of the doctrine of necessity. And it is clear that there's pressure to repeat what happened in 2011. And my concern is this, and this is my suggestion. If PDP does win this election, you must make strategy your strategy. Sometimes we see and feel things just happen. So my question is, how do you justify the amount of money spent in refurbishing the airports, physical structure, and I give you an instance. I know where an airport does not have a landing light. Does not have a runway lighting that I had to, I mean, this happened 2 days ago. I flew into where by about 6, and we got there, and we had to turn back to Lagos. Now, but the physical infrastructure is working. So my take here is that there must be some structure, there must be some strategy, collective strategy, not for the purpose of politics, but for the purpose of the people being happy that you're there. And I want to talk to you, sir.
Sorry, can I just ask, we have limited time.
Can I just
so
ask
it has to be very precise, very short,
yeah,
pointed questions on what they spoke about, please. There's time for general questions later.
You said that your principal comes with with integrity as a collateral. It's interesting. And we are glad. We feel this is an issue. However, why is he finding it difficult to engage Nigerians and apologize for certain things he did while he was in office some time ago? Why will he comes with a risk to Christians? It's clear. We feel that if he does become the president, calling him our brother on the pulpit, doesn't change anything. So I just want us to ask you, why can't we mitigate that? It's a risk. Can you deal with it? Can he stand and tell Nigerians in clear, not his agent speaking, that what you think I am not? Thank you.
So actually, Mr. Duka, do you want to respond first?
Okay.
Thank you. You acknowledge that there have been some fiscal renovations in almost all the airports in Nigeria. And interestingly too, it's the only PDP states that have airports in all the states, to our governors too. I will go to your question about what happened when you were coming back, and of course, looking at our president 5 years ago and today. I want to the first one. What happened with your flight to Owerri and back to Lagos? Those are administrative problems, admin problems. Of course, I'll give you an instance. 3 days ago, for the first time, ARIC cancelled their flight from Abuja 3 times, not knowing that the Minister of Aviation at the airport on that same day. He sanctioned them. They will have to pay a fine. I think we have very proactive young men in government now. That's why I'm very happy that my colleague, Mr. Ogala, said that our future has been mortgaged by the older generation, the younger ones. We have younger men who want to move this country forward. We have in the Minister of Aviation, Mr. Chiduka, he sanctioned the ARIC airline. I think what you just said is something that people should be aware of. And if the governments are aware of it, people will be sanctioned. So much money has been spent in that airport. We do not expect the president to know everything that's happening at every airport. It is for Nigerians to complain at every point in time. And one of the biggest mistakes this government made was that we left in the hands of some people the management of our information management. It was very poor. And that was why the opposition were able to, in the last couple of 1 year, use those opportunities. So for me, that is basically the challenge we have faced, information management. And I think it's actually for us now, we've realized is that come 29th of May, when we come back into office, we have realized that Nigeria of 2011 is not the Nigeria of today. The country is very much aware, everybody is conscious, and that's why we're happy with the quality. Because even today, the APC that is so proud that they are so robust was because this president gave a free way for parties to merge and form mega parties. That's why we have a major challenge today. So for us as a party, we are very much convinced that come 29th of May, most of these bottlenecks we face with the kind of people that run our government will change. And the government, the president has even said to a large extent that we will form an inclusive government, a government that will be better for Nigeria. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So PDP there are now a government of change. So there's change promised, it sounds like, come May. So moving on to the other spectrum of change. Okay, sorry, there's not change, it's transformation. So PDP is transformation, APC is change. Can APC please just address the two questions?
With all respect to you, you were not specific. You have only said, why would he not apologize to Nigerians for whatever? I would have thought you would have been specific. But as a head of state, a leader takes responsibility. Any leader that shirks responsibilities, that puts fault on EFCC or whoever or the ruling council, General Buhari has often said that what he did as head of state was a collective responsibility, but that as the head of state, he took full responsibility. It might interest you to know that Tunde Thompson, who was one of the journalists that were sent to jail at that time, under the notorious Decree 4, as it then was, who was also my colleague in The Guardian, is proudly a member of the Presidential Campaign Council with me. And for those who say it's a threat to Christians, I don't think anybody here is less a Christian than Pastor Yemi Osibajo, or indeed my humble self. It's been the propaganda of it will Islamize Nigeria. It will Islamize Nigeria and what have you. Please, I think it's unfair for some people to insult our intellect and intelligence by that negative campaign coming from the presidency. In a constitutional government, how could anybody, one man, Islamize or indeed remove the secularity of Nigeria? Please ask yourself this question. That does not arise. He poses no threat to me, not to Pastor Williams, not to you, not to Fidelis Duka. And when I hear things like a president has allowed democracy to thrive, does he have a choice? It is a rule of law. I am a lawyer. President Jonathan cannot pronounce anybody to be put in jail. He cannot. Only a court of law can do that. He cannot, by a stroke of his pen, change any laws in this country. Even though I hear things like, I want to implement Constitutional Conference reports. Can you implement the Constitutional Conference reports that goes to the fundamentals of the ground norm of the country? So, sir, General Muhammadu Buhari has taken full responsibility. He did what he had to do when he was head of state between 1984 and 85. This country at that time, a grown-up man at the time, had sanity. We commanded respect in the Committee of Nations. Before then, it was all a government of scam. And this was even a man who was invited by those who had taken over government to come and lead them because he had integrity. He was out of the country when the coup took place. The coup had been successful, government had been effectively taken, and they thought they needed a man who could lead this country right. And General Buhari was invited from a course he was attending in India. Invited.
So can I just ask that we keep the responses?
No, because I had to do that because he said for his deeds without necessarily being specific. So I have to attend, and especially the issue of religion. Let nobody use religion as a tool against us. I've been in government, and I can tell you for free, at the point when atrocities are being committed, nobody remembers your religion. At the point of when they are sharing it, nobody remembers my Christian brother. I will walk away, I will say, Pastor, I'm coming. I won't tell him Muhammad is calling me at the background, or Ibrahim. And I'll come back, hey, Pastor, what were you saying? Neither would I remember that I'm Igbo man, a German, or from Cross River like my brother Fidelis. Okay, so please, those are tools that people want to use to continue to hold our country down.
Okay, thank you.
No single human being. And even on Islamization, General Muhammadu Babangida took Nigeria into Organization of Islamic Countries. After Babangida, only one president has attended meetings of OIC, and that is President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan.
I have to respond quickly to my very good friend, Barrister Ogala. I found out that from the beginning of this debate, it's been happening on religion and ethnicity. I deliberately, out of principle, before I came for this debate, to make sure religion, ethnicity, and the mention of the name General Buhari is not mentioned in my entire debate. Because that's been the argument of the opposition. If you play back the tape in the last 15, 20 minutes, I have not mentioned the name of General Buhari, but the name of the president has been mentioned more than 15 times. What is the issue with the president? Let's go into a debate that is based on issues rather than personalities. The young man never asked anything about the religion of General Buhari or his ethnic group. I schooled in the north. Most of my friends are in the north. I was in the north when General Buhari was head of state. So when you talk about that was the best time of Nigeria's government, that was the best time we went to 41% inflation in this country from 7%. This was a government that interrupted a civilian rule. For the first time since 1960, we've had military incursions. As a young man, I will not subscribe to having any military rule after Obasanjo's time to rule this country again. I will not be a part to it. We must continue to have democracy where civilians must rule the country. I will not sit down and watch my destiny, like you said, our future mortgaged by some people who own the oil wells, who are military rulers, who have controlled this country for 54 years. No, it will not happen again. It will never happen again. We will not sit down. My commitment to this election, I was not involved in 2011. I was just passive. But I woke up and said, it has gotten to a point in time where the young men in this country, that's why I'm very happy with this church, and I hope more churches have done this earlier, to wake up and say, we want to begin to have the proper democracy, where the Ogalas can continue to, not people who have messed this country up. You talk about integrity. What integrity? All the 2.7 billion naira that got missing when he was Minister of Finance. This same man told us that Abacha is not corrupt. He was PTF chairman when Abacha went on Friday. The Swiss bank returned another 170 billion. And you tell us it's not corrupt? And you talk about integrity? I have restrained myself from going into religion and ethnicity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we thank you for very impassioned defenses there of the respective positions. Can you keep your hands up? We'll be taking down the questions by paper, so it'll be quicker just to get them up to me, then I can read them out. So it'll be faster. So if you want to ask a question, please do put your hand up. And can you just write down whether it's a general question or is specific to one of the speakers? Just whilst that's happening.
I've got a couple of questions here. Thank you.
Excuse me?
Patricia Ete, 628 million naira. You talked about good luck. You know, there's 120 prosecuted or prosecuting cases. She was PDP, and apparently she's now APC. You talk about continuity. You're talking about change. Is that continuity for corruption? And is your change to invite people who have defected from stealing, stealing a nation's wealth? And secondly, should the wealth of a nation be in the hands of individuals? People are going around the places talking about oil blocks. Oil blocks that they don't, God gave us the oil blocks. How come they're in the hands of individuals? What are you guys going to do about that? Thank you.
Well, thank you, madam. I did not particularly get you right where you talked about somebody decamping with 620 billion who are stolen or whatever, because you didn't mention names, so it might be difficult. Who?
Ete.
Patricia Ete?
Yeah.
Oh, the former speaker.
Yes. Okay. What happened to that case? He talked about...
oh, that's okay. I get that. I'll take it right away. Patricia Ete was accused at that time by her colleagues in the House to have mismanaged certain sums, which led to her impeachment. Incidentally, at the time, there was a government in place led by PDP, which could have proceeded to prosecute her. And then you ask me, why would they come to APC and we would accept her? The simple question I always ask, and my simple answer to that, if an imam walks in here and says, I want to be born again, should we send him back? No. Should we send him back? I think not. So if somebody who had left that party and says, I am now ready and willing to share in your dreams and abide by the rules of engagement of our party, gladfully we will take that person in. Just like in my church, we will not take anybody who has chosen to be a Christian and join us. And I will return to issues of economy. I mean, accusations have been levied that I mentioned Jonathan. I only mentioned President Goodluck Jonathan once as the one who attended OIC, which is a statement of fact. And he has said, I talked about religion. Somebody asked a question. President Muhammad Buhari could be a threat or risk to Christians. I owe a duty to clarify that. And then we return back to this issue of economy. Like I said, economies and governance must be policy-driven. There must be plans of action. It is not enough whether I'm a minister and I go and take and I go and cancel or sanction. I don't have such powers.
Sir, can I just intervene?
The necessary structures must be put in place to run governance. And I'll give you some statistics.
Sorry, can I just, before you move, because I actually do have a question right on this point, because you talk about planning.
Yes.
If I may ask, it's easy in opposition to point the finger, and it's easy to say, we will do this is not happening, it's not happening. Fine. Now, APC is all about planning, it's all about governance. Right now, for all that APC has planned, what is the budget for, what is the spend? How much will it cost the nation, and where will that money come from?
Well, thank you. Talking about where money comes from, it's about a function of a time. If we project for 2016, for instance, I mean, from May 29, when we, by the grace of God, have taken over government, we will be taking a holistic view of the economy. We'll be talking about the spot price of our oil at the time. We will be basing our budget on realistic.
Sir, what is that budget, sir? Because the point, the point is this. The point is this. You've talked about PDP not planning. You talked about a budget coming out halfway through or in the first quarter. The fact is, I mean, we want a demonstration that something is different, because talk is cheap.
Yes.
So all I'm asking is, what is the number? What is the cost of all these grand and wonderful plans that APC is going to bring to make a better Nigeria? What is the number? Where's that money coming from? Because otherwise you'll get into power and find yourself in a position of starting your planning, in May, and then nothing will happen until December, etc. So is there something different about APC in that regard? What is the number, and where is the money going to come from?
I can tell you there is so much that is different by APC. We have statistics of school children. And what is the budget to feed a child a day? In primary school, a meal of 500 naira. We do the multiplication of that.
So what is that? What is that number?
I cannot give you that statistic readily. I mean, and I will not pretend about that. But like I said, it's about planning. You have to go into the government. You have to know what your earnings are. You have to know what your reserves are. You have to know what exactly is the production capacity.
Okay. So
what we do today is making plans based on expectations of what we have.
Are you familiar with the concept of a shadow cabinet or shadow government?
Absolutely so.
Okay. In the UK, right, or anywhere else in the world, and because we're talking here about, and this is a non-partisan forum, but what we want to know is, if we're going from change, from one thing to another, what are we going to? And all that APC presents itself as representing is that's the fact. Because when you're in opposition, you're not being tested. It's easy to talk, with all due respect. It's easy to sell a dream.
Yes.
But what we're trying to say is that what is behind all the rhetoric?
Fine.
So because and the point is that to give us confidence that, especially in the light of the economic challenges that we're soon to be facing with oil going down, etc., do we know that, can we be confident the APC actually know what they're talking about economically? Have they costed all these things? Have they prepared? Have they, I mean, so you talk about planning. Planning is not just an idea. You have an idea and then you implement it. Okay.
Well, like I said to you, those figures I might not readily have. But
are they available anywhere?
Yes, they can be.
Because I searched as I was preparing for this. I searched and I haven't found.
If I will remind you, after Professor Soludo addressed this issue in his long treatise at the time, and he addressed APC, addressed PDP, whilst APC responded to him, giving details of how they were going to address the issues that they have identified as germane to our nation. The other party, of course, well, I will not discuss the other party. So, but like I said, I might not. But what I will say to you, I will want us to also look at the track records of our governments where we have been opportune to be tested. Because that is what, when you want to aspire for a higher position, maybe a manager in a bank, you want to tell your track record and assistant manager where you are coming from. We'll look at the Lagos state government. We look at an Osun state government. We look at an Ogun state government. We look at an Oyo state government. We look at an Edo state government. And at every turn, you could see governance. And we have also picked as a vice presidential candidate a man who had also been...
Sir. Yes.
You've spoken for close to 30 minutes now. And I make my submission as brief as possible for two reasons. We have a time span, and it would be unfair to just go to the statistics, to the figures. Sorry, Mr. Ogala. Yes, no, I'm not cutting you off. I'm just advising that.
Okay. Well, I think, Mr. Uche, I think with all respect, we should respect the moderator. I think it's not right to just jump into the middle of my... Even if I've taken more time, he has not stopped me. I think it's most unfair.
Okay, gents, can I just ask again, in the spirit of cooperation, okay, and fairness, can we please keep our questions brief? I mean, answers brief. Please, let's keep our answers brief so we can get through more questions. Mr. Duka, would you want to respond?
I'll respond to the last speaker. I think one of the biggest fights for 2015 is the issue of the oil blocks. Most of the blocks will expire this year, and there's that clamor in the code for those who want the blocks, those who want it renewed, those who own those blocks. If you go online, search everywhere, check out, go to the CAC, you'll find out those who own these blocks. And we know those who own these blocks. I won't want to go into personalities here. That's the clamor. And for our generation, we are more concerned about this. They don't own these blocks. This is the collective wealth of all Nigerians. We own these blocks. And if a few people think because they want to grab power and begin to acquire this wealth and begin to reassign this wealth to themselves, this country will not go anywhere. Then the issue of partiality. Partiality was in the Obasanjo and the Yar'Adua government. Of course, like my colleague said, she was accused of corruption by her colleagues and then, of course, removed. Of course, my party, which does not condone corrupt people. Yes, we do not. She had to find. We do not condone corrupt people. So she had to find safe haven in APC. Beyond that, I would like to respond to my very good friend, Barrister Ogala. He made a very brilliant point about using the performance indices of the states, APC states. I know that Lagos started the free food initiative in their school. It has stopped. Why? They couldn't keep it on. A good example. Lagos also started free books for their students. The books are not taken home. If you destroy the books, you pay for it. Is that free books? There are evidence for this. You can go and find out. We have children in public schools. My nephew who went to a public school. These are facts on the ground. Besides the free initiative for free books, the free books thing say you cannot write your name on the book. You cannot put your name because the next class students who are coming will use the same books. Is that, wait, let me ask a question. If you are offering free, what's the word? The term free must be, I think I am not, for me, we must be very objective in whatever we are promising. I was driving down here and I saw so many promises on the billboards and banners. 1 free meal per day. I said, good. All I want is that our children should eat good food.
Okay.
But the question is, can you meet up that demand with the budget?
Okay,
thank you.
Okay, so sorry, no, sorry, excuse me, no, sorry, sir. I mean, we have a lot of questions. Obviously, an hour is not a very long time. So I've got
this question for us.
I've got the questions here, and I'm trying to do my best to fight through them and find something that is both candidates. Okay, I have a question here about the PDP. For Mr. Duka, thank you. Okay, it says, how can the PDP say they can fight corruption when we have not seen a good punitive system for corrupt officials or their cronies? What can PDP say about President Jonathan extending a good handshake for Bashir's son, allowing him to participate in politics? What about Bode George, an ex-convict, being made a PDP national chairman?
You see, for me, some of these issues raised, punitive measure. Who takes the punitive? We have the judiciary there. I've At my presentation at the beginning of this discussion, I said it. We have separation of power. We have, of course, the executive, we have the legislative, and then we have, of course, the judiciary. It is not the function of the president to punish anybody. Even my colleague here alluded to that fact. He said it is not the function of the president to punish him. Then the issue of Bode George. Bode George has been punished. He's gone to jail. Does it mean if he has been punished, he should die being punished? No, let's be very objective. What about the ones who've seen their documents on TV in the last couple of weeks who have not been prosecuted? What about several governors in the last 9 years who are still in court? So you cannot come and put such blame on the president. It is not his function. He has given the EFCC the liberty and the free will. He went as far as bringing back a former EFCC boss who was removed by the other government. He brought him back to run the EFCC. Why would the president go to the EFCC and start doing the EFCC's job? So when people ask these questions, I begin to wonder.
Okay, thank you for that. Although there is a follow-up point that, of course, one would wonder why the president would want to bring into the fold someone who is a convict, whether that speaks
like
for what the president is trying
politics,
to do.
You see, there's a fundamental mistake. Chief Bode George does not occupy any position in government today. He was former chairman of MPA. When he went to jail and came back, he's not on the board of any federal government pastel till date. So he's a member of the party. He has the right to join the party if the party and the president does not own the PDP.
Okay, thank you. But although one would wonder why you would promote a convict to such a high position within the party, but that's the PDP's choice. That's their choice, and therefore that's reflective, obviously, of the party. Okay, now let's move on. Just trying to find some more. Comment. Now, this is just taking us to a slightly different vein. Someone here asked a question about technological innovation is the ultimate source of productivity and growth. What are the specific plans for each of the parties to develop and sustain technological innovation? And I will add that also in the context of the fact that we need to diversify away from oil. Okay. So you can just sort of wrap that together. What are the plans? Give us some hope that you have something concrete for us. Can I ask Mr. Honorable Ogala to go next?
Well, thank you.
Could just 1 minute, please. We're very time bound. 1 minute, strictly.
Okay. Even though you tell me 1 minute, I will crave your indulgence to take a little.
Sorry, sir. That's indulgent. Will not be extended. 1 minute.
No, on a serious note. I mean, this issue of oil blocks that we make so much about, and I wonder why oil should even be who owns oil blocks or what have you. These are corporate organizations. I personally do not care who owns an oil block as long as it is done according to the laws of the land. We've looked at the instance of the power plants. A year ago, the distribution companies were sold to some interests. In bidding for those assets, they were supposed to have submitted technical and financial bids.
So can I please ask we stay on point? I think your essential point is, as long as it's done according to the law. I think the examples can help, but I don't, unless it's another...
I'll go straight to it.
Unless it's a different point, I think we get the answer.
I think for us in APC, we realize that for the growth of any nation, it revolves largely around the technology of the day. And what have we done? Like I said earlier, you can only use your past to project for the future. You can only use examples of what you have done in positions where you have been opportuned to speak about what you can do when you are given bigger responsibilities. In Lagos State of today, Lagos State government is a government that is largely technology-driven. You go to the government offices of Lagos of today, you see technology being seriously deployed. Security in Lagos. Lagos is perhaps the only state that is installing street cameras. Lagos is perhaps the only state that is building command centers in all police stations in Lagos.
Sir, if I may say, most of the examples you're given are not necessarily revenue generating. We're talking about using technology to generate revenue.
to generate revenue.
And to help to diversify. So whilst you ponder on that, can I just ask Mr. Duker to please?
I'll tell you.
So whilst you ponder on, please, let me give Mr. Duker an opportunity. Thank you.
Essentially, to that question, the government of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan has considered technology as a very important sector. That was why the Minister of the Information Tech was established, and we are one of the most brilliant ministers there, a woman. Essentially, you can see that virtually all the sectors of government today, technology has been a major threshold of our economy. Even in the exports of our goods and services, we've used technology to do that. Even the customs, that's why we've been able to increase our revenue in customs today from 500 million before to about 3.7 billion annually. It has never happened. The figures are there. We also know that today, internet penetration in Nigeria has increased, tripled, since our own government came into power. And we know that today, as I speak to you, we have close to about 60 million people who are on internet. That's why people are so conscious about the elections coming up.
Okay, so that's the response. Do you have a very brief rejoinder on that issue?
Like I said to you, you have said, how do you use technology to inflate the economy? That is my understanding of it. It calls it income generation, but it's about inflating the economy. And I was giving you instances of where a government has deployed full technology to run the government. It cuts out waste. More people are willing to come in the tax nets. More people are willing to do business with government because it takes away the bureaucracy and the time you waste running around. And I've also given you an instance of how it is being also used to secure the state. And when you secure the state, you also instill confidence in the economy and indeed those who want to do business in that economy. This is about what technology. I've told you about the IPP projects we are running across the board.
Yes.
I've told you, I also go to Osun State, for instance, where we now have mobile textbooks for the students. So it's not enough to set up a ministry and say you have set up a ministry, and it is ridiculous for any government to be claiming Facebook, internet access, and what have you. These are all things that come naturally. How has your government deployed it is my understanding of the question. It's not to tell me because I carry mobile.
Can I just respond? Can I just respond? I have not in this phone I said we have brought internet or Facebook to Nigeria. What I've said in essence is that we've used the ability of us having a Ministry of ICT to deploy in every sector of the economy. Do you know that prior to now, we have 75,000 ghost workers in the federal civil service? Simply by technology, we've been able to save close to 150 billion in salaries. This is a government that has done that. They are facts. They are facts. 70,000 ghost workers were saved. Let me go further. The cashless economy. Okay, I would like.
Okay, well, thank you. I mean, I think on that particular point, it's clear, well, to me anyway.
You also mentioned diversifying the economy. It is very obvious. Look at the agri sector. Today, I can tell you that we have our import for rice has reduced by close to 70%. Yes, the facts are there. We now export. We export. The figures are there.
Okay. Thank you. Now, sorry, we all have to be out of this building in basically less than 5 minutes by 1:20. But there's one very critical question, and this will be a test of the discipline of each of the candidates to give a 2 or 3 sentence answer to this, because it's come up a lot in the questions. It's very, very simple. And the Chibok girls, what are you going to do about it? We want the girls back. 10 seconds. So actually, I think given the incumbents, yes. Oh, okay.
I started.
Okay.
I started.
Okay. APC, please go first.
Well,
very, very brief. Very brief, to the point.
Concede to him changing the rules, even though you are the moderator, but like he said, we are on home ground. So I will still concede to him as our guest at the High Life. Please,
very, very brief. We're really under time.
The Chibok girls issue. The question we should be asking is why are those girls...
No, the question is, what will APC do? That's the question, not why are they there. What will APC do?
I don't know. You see, for me to say what we can do, these girls have been lost for 1 year under a government. 47 children were killed in Bunuyadi under this government over a year ago. What has this government done?
So are you saying the APC has no immediate plans, in which case we can understand because you're in the opposition?
An APC government going to be led by General Muhammadu Buhari, a tested warrior and security conscious leader, will do what it has to do, deploy his military experience, his intelligence experience, and indeed his courage, because it's about cowardice now, that no president has bothered till date to go into that Sambisa forest where we claim those guys are being kept.
Right, thank you, sir. Sorry, please, very brief, because we do have a lot of... but it sounds as though President Buhari is going to don his fatigues and head to Sambisa, which is great. So can you PDP?
And he couldn't go to Yobe yesterday. He couldn't go to Yobe yesterday for security reasons. That's beyond the point. I think I will go to the point. The issue of the Chibok girls, we are all Nigerians. We are as concerned as them. We are
so what will the government do?
What will the government? My government has promised in clear terms. My government has promised in clear terms by the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces.
So land. What will they going to do?
Those girls will be found, and the signs are there. Those girls will be found, and the signs are there. I don't know why the opposition should be happy that those girls should not be found. Those girls will be found.
Sir.
We are concerned. Those girls will be found. They are our children. We are concerned about them. We must find those girls. And today, we have captured virtually all the cities. And Sambisa is in our oath. We will find those girls.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I think as far as the PDP is concerned, basically they're still looking. They will find them, but they're still looking. We will find the girls.
Okay.
So can please each each speaker please a very brief wrap up. You have 20 seconds, please, just to summarize, and then we close, because we have to be out of the hall. We have a time constraint, sorry. So very brief. And as Mr. Duke has started, we'll let you conclude, sir, Honorable.
Okay.
Please, just to wrap up. No, as he started, you...
okay. Well, in departing, I want to say to you that when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when a wicked man rules, the people grow. Today, you are groaning. Proverbs 29:2 so says. The capacity to influence is what politics ought to be. And it will be a lie if we allow the devil to continue to lead our lives. As we depart here today, I want to say to you that what Nigeria needs is purposeful leadership. Nigerians are not lazy. We are not unintelligent. We are not backward. But we need purposeful leadership, one that will tackle corruption, not a leader who will grant state pardon to escaped convicts from other countries, not a leader who would appoint as ministers persons who are under accusations of election rigging to go and be a foreign minister. Not a leader who would fraternize with fugitives from other lands and make them senatorial candidates in our country. That is not our country. We need to be led by a righteous man and a righteous deputy, and that you have in General Muhammadu Buhari and Pastor Yemi Osinbajo.
Okay, so in concluding, Mr. Fidelis Duke of PDP.
I will start by expressing my appreciation to this church. I think to a very large extent, we've been able to explain to many minds, because when we came in here, I believe that we are close to 60 or 70 people who are not convinced to vote. But I know today, with what we've said so far, people have made informed choices. For us, we are not a party of propaganda. We're not a party of coming here to tell lies about those who escaped and all that. Basically, for us, like my president said, he said it, and I quote, "My ambition is not worth the blood of any Nigerian." So as we go out to vote next week, I appeal to all of you, as we go out to vote next week, vote your conscience. Vote for the better Nigeria. Vote for a better Nigeria where we will all be proud of. A country we all need. We are not a... For us as a party, at the beginning I said it, we are not a desperate party. We are not desperate for power. So the important thing you must realize, sorry, you gave me enough time, so you have to give me that time too. It's important that we realize at this point in time that the country is at the threshold of a future we all deserve. A better future. We should not be taken back 34 years ago. We should not be taken back to the period when people, for all of us, I think essentially we should come out, vote our conscience, vote our mind, vote for a better Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, audience. Before we dismiss, just one very quick thing. There were 3 categories of people when we started. Some people were decided. Very few people were undecided, and most people seem to be jaded, disinterested. So can we run that again? How many people are now decided? They've decided who they will vote for. Put your hands up. Well, that's a remarkable improvement, okay? How many people are undecided still? Okay? Which is a little bit less, but probably, and then how many people are sort of disinterested, can't make up their minds, probably just, you know, disinterested, jaded, let's call it jaded. How many people are jaded and can't think which way to go and not really, okay. Okay, well, thank you very much. It seems as though the greatest category is probably people who are decided, which is good. Still a lot of people in the middle, but I will adjure you again, sitting on the fence, as Pastor said, is not an option. As hard as it is, we're spiritual people, so this is the time to go to your Father in heaven and ask, and as Mr. Duka said, be led by the Spirit. But you must be led and you must act, because to act is an act of irresponsibility itself. So thank you very much for listening. God bless you. Have a great week.